I think it's about time to make a worship-leading New Year's resolution. Welcome to Mina Studio. My name is Nathan. So my worship-leading resolution this year is to stop being so judgmental during worship. Since this whole pandemic thing has been going on, we've been attending a lot of different churches that we wouldn't normally get to go to by going to their online services. And I've noticed that I am so easily distracted during worship. I keep trying to pick out these worship leading things that my worship leading brain wants to focus on, and I just get distracted, and even worse, I get judgmental about it. And I think to some point this is true of any profession. If you're a videographer, you might have a hard time watching a video and not, trying to figure out what lens they used or what the audio is or why didn't they do this. If you're a florist, maybe you look at flower arrangements and think, why'd they do that? Or if you're a cook, you might have a hard time eating out at a restaurant and not trying to figure out how they made this or why they made it this way and not that way. So I think to a point, it's just true of any profession. If you're in that profession, you might find it hard not to judge that profession. Now, often for me, it's not negative judgments. It's just these constant observations and distractions. Ooh, that's a cool guitar amp. Did he just play an A minor? Isn't that usually an F major? I didn't know they made that guitar in green. Wait a second. Yeah, that's totally the blue carpet pad from Main Stage. Wonder what brand those overhead mics are. But sometimes, unfortunately, and this is where the problem really is, my mind gets sucked down into these negative judgments. Oh man, the worship leader actually has a man bun. Why does every worship guitarist play a Telecaster? Did I miss a memo or something? Okay, just because you're using tracks doesn't mean you have to do every interlude. It's been like 10 minutes, people. There's got to be $100,000 worth of video cameras on that stage. That's a lot of Christmas presents for needy families. Look at the worship band. Seriously, is there no one over 40 years old in this church? Stop telling me to clap and shout. I'm a low-key guy. What's with all the plaid shirts and beanies? Are y'all going on a ski trip after service? Yeah, it can get ugly, and I hate it. I really do. I do not want my mind to go there during worship. Now, some of those statements were just mean and judgy, and some were of valid concerns, but whether or not those statements are right or wrong, that is not what I should be thinking about during worship. And it's certainly not the attitude I should have during worship. I should be focused on God and grateful that I can worship at all. I shouldn't be focused on the music or the people or the tech and how much I dislike or disagree with what's going on. Now, I'm a big proponent of looking critically at our own worship services to make them better. I think it's important to be intentional about what is and isn't in your worship services. That needs to be done. But that needs to be done, 1, with a humble and loving heart. 2, in my own church, not judging others' churches unless I was asked to do so or am in a position where it is appropriate to do so. And 3, not while I should be worshiping and focused on God. I'm sure many of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You may have related to or even have said those statements that I said earlier when we were watching the worship service. If that's true, then maybe this can be your worship leading resolution too. My worship leading resolution for this year is when I'm worshiping, especially at another church or with another worship leader, to be a person of grace and gratitude, not of judgment and contempt. When I'm worshiping, to be a person of grace and gratitude, not judgment, and especially not contempt. And most importantly, I need to be able to turn off the worship leader and turn on the worshiper. So if you're a worship leader who has a hard time with this like I do, please let me know. Leave it in the comments. Maybe we can start like a support group or something for judgmental worship leaders. I don't know, but I'd love to hear about it. It's always good to hear you're not alone, and also we can help each other to not be so judgmental during worship. Or if you're just in any profession and you want to say that, it happens in my profession too, I'd love to hear that as well. And if you have any tips on how to not do this, I'd really like to hear those. So again, leave all that stuff in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if you like this video, of course, please subscribe. Thank you so much for joining me. And here's to hoping that 2021 is both a much better year and that I can stick to my worship leading resolution. See you next week.